And we are here. We have finally made it to the end of the season, meaning welcome to part 1 out of 4 of the tour around my Lotus Season 2 base. So as I mentioned, there will be 4 parts to this tour, as I have 4 different areas that I have built over the course of this season. So for part 1, welcome to the Prismatic Paradise. This is the area that was first built between the months of June to like October or September, one of those. So basically, to enter the Prismatic Paradise, as you guys saw in the very beginning of the video, is you take a walk on this colorful bridge, which has a rainbow, the very first rainbow that I ever built, and it has floating lanterns around it. It was a lot of work to put these floating lanterns up, but I'm really glad I did, as it turned out really nice. But then we have, of course, our field of the flowers that go all the way around the land, and our welcome to Prismatic Paradise sign to welcome everybody into this area. So then, to get up to the area, we have a little path with all of the colors. We have our rainbow path that goes all the way around the area. We have our rules sign, which I had to make because we had a few encounters with people not being peaceful in this land very early on, so I had to make a sign which says, "This is a neutral zone, no fighting, PvP, no death, chill vibes only, respect the area, no conflict, enjoy your visit, and failure to obey the rules will lead to consequences." So this first path over here, we have our nether portal, which is a super colorful design. I'm really happy with how this turned out. And we have our piglin head, which we got with Seaman in one of the earlier episodes. But then right behind the nether portal, we have a building which we will look at in a bit. I want to start this video off with our starter base, because this was the first building in the Prismatic Paradise, and also around this area we have a ton of alliums. We have our mailbox right here, which I basically just copied Seaman's that he built. But here is the starter base. It is the purple building because the Prismatic Paradise, I forgot to mention, my goal of it was to build a building using only one color. So this is our purple building. So when you walk into the building, this part has changed a lot. On this wall, we have all of my great emotes. We have a nice little decorated pot with an allium on it. Then we have a little seating area. We have sphere, which I was gonna move to my mega base, but I ended up not doing that because I don't want him to get hurt. So he's just gonna live in the starter base now. But then we have this little table right here with one of our rainbow totems on it and a picture of me and Chespy in the bookshelves. I can't remember where that is, but that's somewhere. And then we have limited edition Chespy's only allium. This was an allium that Chespy got early on, and he told me that he was never going to give it to me. That way I know that I don't have every allium on the server, but then he ended up giving it to me. So of course that is going on the wall. And then we have our kitchen area with our furnaces, blast furnaces, more furnaces, some barrels, and this picture of me and Seaman at Splash Mountain. And we have a purple mini block, of course. But then we have this little area over here, which is our workstation area. We have our ender chest, brewing stand, all of the essentials. We have an item frame with a slime ball of cubes remains, which was a slime that me and Seaman found in a cave, and we decided to keep him, but then I accidentally killed him. But then we got sphere. And then of course we have our great picture that I did in Blender of me and all of the squid variants, and then this little table with all of our stuff. So this area over here is very special because we have a little secret bunker down here, which Dan built for us. It's a little cafe, and we have some pictures of us in here. We have some cake and allium. We've got Marlin and Nemo. We have a fish right here. I'm pretty sure that he said the name was Bubblegum. And then this barrel, which had all of our stolen alliums in it. But then we have this area over here, which used to be our storage area, but once I moved into the mega base, I turned it into a little cat area for Lilac. But now going this way, we have this little area with our jukebox, which I used to play a lot of music. And we have this mini Chespy little plush thing right here that Seaman made a while ago, and he has just been staying here. And then up the stairs, we have our bedroom up here, which we have this picture that Seaman made of us and Sphere, since we didn't get an actual picture with him. We've got, I'm pretty sure this is our first iron armor. We got a picture of Stella. We've got the group photo of us that we took the very first day of Lotus. And then we have me, Seaman, and Chespy during the days when I was stuck in my house because they wouldn't let me leave. But that is our starter base and the inside of it. Next up, we have Seaman's starter base, which is the Cyan build in our village. He has a bunch of orchids and cornflowers out here and a super cool blue tree. He's got an alley out here. He's got his mailbox. And over here on the side, he has this little truck over here. But in his house, it is really cool in here. He did a really good job with building the interior of it. We've got Toast down here, which you can feed him carrots and just a lot of pictures and stuff. Up here is a little bit empty, but this is where he had all of his chests to store his stuff before he moved out. And he has this enchanting area, which I used a lot. And then he has this really cool little stairs up to where his bed is, which I really like. You can like stand here and just see so much of the area. And he's got his bedroom in here. He's got Stella up here, of course. And just moving on from Seaman's house, over here, we have this tree over here, which now that I look at it, I'm not really the biggest fan of. This was one of the first trees that I built in this area before I really knew how to build trees. And we've got Mr. Pringle Man over there, which was a prank that Chespy did on me. He built that, and now he just gets to watch over the Prismatic Paradise. And we have a little pond over there. So that is our little house area. But then right here, we have this cherry blossom tree, which was the very first cherry blossom tree that I ever built. Again, it's not the best because I built this back when I didn't really know how to build trees. But yeah, that's just there to add something to the area. And then the first building that you see when you come up from the house area is the brown building, which is our library. So inside here we have all of our librarians, which are in very nice brown outfits that Seaman made. He made a whole resource pack for me to have the villagers in the right colored outfits to match what building they're in. So we have this very nice little library area. I really like how this turned out. This is probably one of my favorite interiors of the buildings of the Prismatic Paradise. It's just very cozy in here, and I love the use of the new bookshelves. And then you can come up the ladder and we have more librarians. I added bookshelves on the ones that didn't sell glass. That way I knew which ones not to talk to. Let's let these guys free. They're all free now. They can all see again. Also, outside of the library, we have some dead bushes just because there weren't any brown flowers. So I decided to go with dead bushes to put around the area. Next up, we have our magenta building, which is our concrete and glass shop. I think this is probably one of my favorite buildings exterior-wise. It just looks really cool. I love how this turned out. It looks so much like a shop. As you can see, we have alliums outside of it, since the alliums are basically the magenta flower, and we also have flowering azalea leaves out here. And then when you walk inside of the concrete and glass shop, you have concrete on this side, glass on this side, and concrete powder on the back walls. So you can tell which side is which because we have the signs up here, but we also have concrete right here and glass right there. So then after we leave these two buildings, we have this path that continues on. I love how the paths turned out, like in between the buildings. It just looks super cool to walk through and see all of the buildings and all of the colors. But that brings us to the next build, which is our red building, which is also our wool shop. So this building is also one of my favorites functional-wise, because you have the shop, which is in the front. You can come in here, get whatever you need. We have a rainbow sheep head over here. We have a red concrete mini block over here. We've got some rose bushes, red tulips, and poppies outside of it. But on the sides, we have two doors, which takes you to where you get all of the wool. So we have each color of sheeps, and there is also a downstairs, which also has every single color of sheep. And then that way I can just go down there, get the wool, and bring it up here. And these are the shulker boxes, which hold all of the wool for people to buy. So functional wise, this was also one of my favorite builds because I liked having the wool farms right next to the shop. But right across from the wool shop, you have these two buildings right here next to each other. And we have the green building, which is for our farmer villagers. So this build isn't one of my favorites, but for what I had to work with, I think it turned out really cool. We have some vines on the walls, we have a bunch of greenery, we have ferns, since there aren't any green flowers in Minecraft. But inside of this building, we have all of our farmer villagers, which all sell pumpkins and melons, as well as golden carrots. They were very profitable for getting emeralds. And then, of course, right across from it, we have the black building, which is our blacksmith building. So this build is a bit dangerous because we have the wither roses outside of it, but I really like having the wither roses outside of it because it really adds to the area. I have killed a lot of pets on these wither roses, but you know, they're fine. It's really cool having them around. Inside this area, we have a bunch of armorers, weaponsmiths on this side, and toolsmiths up on the second floor. On the first floor, we have a bunch of decorations. So we have these little smithing areas. We have a bunch of armor around, some tools, and all of that. I never really use these guys much, but this building added a lot to the area and I really like it. So right next to the black building, we have this path that goes all the way down to Color Country, which will be in the next video of tours. So definitely make sure to go check that video out if you want to see the full entirety of Color Country. But continuing down the main path, we have two buildings right here. We have a building here and then an area that goes off that way for more buildings. Right here we have the blue building, which is for our cleric villagers. So outside of it, of course, we have cornflowers because they're blue. And I used lapis and some of the dark blue wool and concrete, as well as the warped stems, which I really like. It adds to the enchanted theme that I wanted to do for this build, since it is for clerics. But inside here, we have some clerics right here with their beautiful blue outfits. And yeah, this build is very small, but it worked well for some clerics. And keeping with the blue theme, we have the light blue build right across from it, which is our candle shop. So outside of it, we have orchids for the light blue theme, as well as I added a little pond over here just to give the area something different. But when you go inside of it, we have some Fletchers. I was going to make these villagers fishermen, which is why they aren't in light blue outfits, because Seaman never got a chance to update the pack. I figured sticks would be better for trading than fishermen because we ended up selling candles, which I wasn't originally going to sell candles, but then last minute decided to. So we have this little area for buying candles. This is probably one of my least favorite builds just because it's kind of random with just the Fletchers and then the candle shop, but it worked for a light blue build. And when you come out of the light blue building, you are met with the yellow build, which is our bee farm. This building is also not really one of my favorites due to the exterior of it, but it worked really well. I was really happy with the block palette and getting to use raw gold because I never use raw gold because it is a pain to get. But we have some honey over here to show that this is where our bees are, and we have some dandelions outside. It's also cool because this path lined up perfectly with it, so it's the yellow path going into the yellow building. But once inside the building, we have all of our bees right here. We have this really cool yellow glazed terracotta floor, which I love. I think this pattern really looks like honeycomb, so it's perfect for here. And then we have these barrels full of honey, honeycomb, all of that, because this farm worked really well. I really like the inside of this build. I love how it's just the farm, you can see the bees in there, and then it's just very simple and it looks really nice. Continuing on this way, next to the yellow build, we have our lime build. This build is one of my favorites for the functionality of it. We have some bamboo outside of it since there aren't any green flowers, and I figured bamboo is kind of lime-like also because this is our bamboo sugarcane farm and cactus farm. Inside of it, you can see the bamboo and sugarcane farm right here. We have these chests right here for the sugarcane to go into. We have bamboo right here for the bamboo to go into. And then these middle chests are for our cactus. And, you know, you may be like, where's the cactus? I don't see any cactus. If you free cam up, you will see that the cactus is built inside of the roof of it. And so it just collects into those hoppers and goes down inside of the middle chests. So I really like this building for the fact that the functionality of it is really cool, and you compacted 3 farms into one building. Right across from the lime build, we have our gray build. So since there aren't any gray flowers, we have some of these white flowers out here, and you know, they do give a light gray dye, so you know, it works out. So then I used acacia wood because it's kind of gray, which I really like because I never really use acacia wood. And then we have andesite, cobblestone, all of that, all of those blocks that are gray. And then inside this build, we have our mason villagers. And they have really cool gray outfits, of course. I really like this build for the block palette because there just are so many gray blocks that you could use in this area. And so we have the dead coral and stone, all of that. And then upstairs we have even more mason villagers. We have some potted plants up there. We've got some mini blocks and just so many mason villagers, which were very useful for getting quartz and terracotta. And then finally, to complete this pathway over here, we have our windmill. We have a bunch of white tulips and lily of the valleys out here. We've got diorite walls to keep our crops in. And then we have our windmill, which this is probably one of my favorite builds. I say that a lot with a lot of builds I do, but this one is truly a really cool one with just all of the white blocks used. And I really like the effect of the stained glass panes to be like wind. And then inside here, it isn't much. We just have a bed over here. We have some hay bales. We have a composter area. And then up there we have a little lever thing to carry the hay bales up there. And then of course a lot of carrot fields and potato fields, which you can walk in it. I added a path down here. That way you can get to these crops easily without trampling them and all of that. And I think it was a really good addition to this crop field. And then finally, back this way, we have our final two buildings, which we have our orange building, which is our pumpkin farm. So outside of it, we have some orange tulips, and it's not much of a build, but when you come inside of the building, you have this little area here that you can grab your pumpkins from. And then in the back, you have your pumpkin farms, which have been working very well. I like how just small this area is. It's not a big building, yet it has a whole pumpkin farm in it. And right next to the pumpkin farm, we have a little pond area with some axolotls in it. I really love this little addition to the area. We also have the little pink petals, and I love this little axolotl pond. I'm really glad I added a pond here. It just makes the area look really nice. But then across from the pond, we have the final building of the store and the final building that we actually built in the Prismatic Paradise, which is our melon farm. So I really like this building because this was the first time I got to use the new cherry wood, but we have some of the pink petals and pink tulips out here. We have some of the cherry blossom leaves. And yeah, it's basically the same as the pumpkin farm, just for melons. You can come in here, get your melons. It's in the back here. And yeah, that's really it. And there we have the Prismatic Paradise. This area was a lot of fun to build. It's crazy to think that I built this in the first half of the season because we have done so much since then. This area really turned out way better than I had planned on it turning out. I really loved doing each building a different color because it gave me a chance to try out new block palettes and try to work with what I have, because some of the buildings did not have a lot of blocks in certain colors, so I just had to make whatever I could work. I hope you guys enjoyed the tour of the Prismatic Paradise. I'm really happy I was finally able to show you guys around on a full tour, since this area has been built for a bit of time and we haven't really seen this area in a while. But thank you guys for watching this video. Make sure to go check out the next one, which will be a tour of Color Country. So I will see you guys then. Bye!